Hey guys, it's Andy, and I'm back for another deep dive. Today, we're diving into the legendary rise and tragic fall of a company that once ruled Friday nights in America, Blockbuster. What happened to the video rental giant that had over 9,000 stores and seemed unstoppable? And how did a small startup called Netflix take them down? Grab your popcorn, because this story is packed with nostalgia, billion-dollar mistakes, and some of the worst business decisions in corporate history. Blockbuster began in 1985 in Dallas, Texas. It was a time when VHS tapes were the primary medium for home entertainment, and video rental stores were popping up in neighborhoods across America. However, these stores were often small, independently owned, and had a limited selection of movies. The idea of a large-scale, efficient video rental chain was still a novel concept. Founder David Cook saw a simple opportunity: create a more efficient and family-friendly video rental experience. Cook, who had a background in the oil industry, used his knowledge of data management to revolutionize the video rental business. He envisioned a store where families could find a vast selection of movies, all organized and easy to locate. Most mom-and-pop video stores had limited selections. They often struggled to keep up with the latest releases and couldn't afford to stock a wide variety of titles. This meant that customers frequently left disappointed, unable to find the movie they wanted to watch. The experience was often frustrating and time-consuming. Blockbuster, on the other hand, stocked thousands of tapes and used computer systems to track inventory, which was a major innovation at the time. This allowed them to manage their vast collection efficiently and ensure that popular titles were always available. The use of technology set Blockbuster apart from its competitors and made the rental process smoother and more reliable for customers. By the early 90s, Blockbuster became the face of home entertainment. The iconic blue and yellow stores were a familiar sight in cities and towns across the country. People of all ages flocked to Blockbuster to rent the latest movies, making it a staple of weekend plans and family nights. Families would flood in on weekends, browsing the aisles, picking out the newest release or an old classic, and maybe grabbing some popcorn on the way out. It wasn't just about renting a movie, it was about the experience. The excitement of walking through the aisles, the anticipation of watching a new film, and the joy of sharing that experience with loved ones made Blockbuster a beloved destination. It became more than a store, it was part of American culture. Blockbuster was featured in movies and TV shows, and its logo became instantly recognizable. It represented a time when renting a movie was an event, a shared experience that brought people together. The brand became synonymous with home entertainment and nostalgia for many. At its peak in 2004, Blockbuster had over 9,000 stores worldwide and was worth around $5 billion. The company expanded rapidly, opening stores in international markets and becoming a global phenomenon. Its success seemed unstoppable, and it dominated the video rental industry for years. But success can make companies blind. And that's exactly what happened. As Blockbuster grew, it faced new challenges and competition. The rise of digital technology and the internet began to change the way people consumed media. Despite its dominance, Blockbuster struggled to adapt to these changes, and its once bright future started to dim. In the year 2000, a little-known company named Netflix approached Blockbuster with an offer. Netflix was still mailing DVDs to customers and offered to sell their business for $50 million. Blockbuster laughed them out of the room. They didn't believe people wanted DVDs in the mail, or that online subscriptions would ever replace their in-store experience. Blockbuster was confident in its late fees, brick-and-mortar dominance, and brand loyalty. Big mistake. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Netflix was quietly building something revolutionary. What started as a simple DVD-by-mail service soon began to evolve, as Netflix's founders realized the potential of a subscription-based model. Instead of paying for each rental, customers could pay a flat monthly fee and keep DVDs as long as they wanted, with no due dates and no late fees. This was a game-changer in the home entertainment industry, and it set Netflix apart from the traditional video rental giants. For years, Blockbuster had dominated the market, but their business model relied heavily on late fees, a source of frustration for millions of customers. People dreaded returning movies late, knowing they'd be hit with extra charges. Netflix's approach eliminated this pain point entirely, making it instantly more appealing to families and movie lovers who wanted convenience and flexibility. Sensing the threat, Blockbuster tried to adapt. The company was still a household name, with thousands of stores across the country and a loyal customer base. But the winds of change were blowing, and Blockbuster's leadership knew they had to respond. In 2004, Blockbuster finally made a bold move. They announced the end of late fees, hoping to win back customers who had grown tired of the old system. The company launched massive marketing campaigns, plastering "no late fees" signs in stores and on receipts, trying to convince the public that they were changing with the times. Then, in 2007, Blockbuster took another step, launching their own online rental service to compete directly with Netflix. They introduced mail-order DVDs and even tried to blend their physical stores with online offerings, hoping to leverage their massive retail footprint. But by then, the momentum had shifted. Netflix had already captured the imagination of a new generation of movie watchers, and Blockbuster's efforts felt like too little, too late. Their stores began to empty out, and locations across the country started closing their doors for good. Internally, Blockbuster was struggling. The company's corporate structure had become bloated and slow to react. Decision-making was bogged down by layers of management, and innovation was stifled by bureaucracy. Executives were under pressure, but the company couldn't pivot quickly enough to keep up with the rapidly changing market. For years, Blockbuster had relied on revenue from late fees and in-store sales, believing these streams would always be reliable. But as customers flocked to Netflix's more user-friendly model, Blockbuster's old ways became a liability. The company was slow to recognize just how much consumer expectations were changing. Netflix, on the other hand, was obsessed with user experience and innovation. They constantly improved their website, streamlined the rental process, and eventually pioneered streaming video, making it possible to watch movies instantly from home. Blockbuster simply couldn't keep up with this pace of change. To make matters worse, Blockbuster was owned by Viacom for several years, a massive media conglomerate more interested in its television and film assets than in retail innovation. This corporate oversight meant Blockbuster's leadership was often distracted, missing key opportunities to modernize. In the end, Blockbuster's leadership missed trend after trend. They underestimated the power of the internet, the appeal of subscription models, and the importance of adapting quickly. While Netflix surged ahead, Blockbuster stalled, becoming a cautionary tale of what happens when a giant fails to innovate. By the late 2000s, Netflix made its boldest move yet: streaming. In 2007, Netflix introduced online video streaming, allowing users to instantly watch movies and shows from their devices. No DVDs, no stores, no waiting. Blockbuster, still focused on trying to make brick-and-mortar work. They launched a streaming platform, sort of. It was underdeveloped, underfunded, and lacked the content Netflix had already licensed. Customers were already leaving Blockbuster in droves. Stores began closing, the culture was shifting, and Blockbuster wasn't adapting. In 2010, Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy. At one point they were worth billions. And now they were buried in $900 million of debt. The company that once had the chance to buy Netflix was now watching it dominate the world. One by one, Blockbuster stores shut down. Today only one remains, in Bend, Oregon, functioning more as a tourist attraction and tribute to a bygone era. So what happened to Blockbuster, the once iconic video rental giant that seemed unstoppable? How did a company that was a household name with thousands of stores across the globe end up as a relic of the past? The answer is both simple and complex, and it holds important lessons for businesses everywhere. In short, Blockbuster failed to innovate when it mattered most. They underestimated the power and speed of technological change, believing their brand and business model were untouchable. As DVDs replaced VHS tapes and the internet began to change how people consumed media, Blockbuster clung to the old ways, convinced that customers would always want to browse physical shelves and pay late fees. But customer behavior was shifting rapidly. People wanted convenience, flexibility, and new ways to access entertainment. Netflix, a small upstart at the time, recognized these changes and adapted quickly. While Blockbuster was busy protecting its existing business, Netflix was busy reinventing the entire industry. Netflix disrupted itself before anyone else could. They started by mailing DVDs directly to customers' homes, eliminating late fees and making movie night easier than ever. But they didn't stop there. As streaming technology emerged, Netflix pivoted again, investing heavily in digital delivery and making movies and shows available instantly, on demand, from anywhere. Eventually, Netflix took another bold step, producing their own original content. This move not only set them apart from competitors, but also gave them control over their own destiny. Meanwhile, Blockbuster watched from the sidelines, unable or unwilling to make the leap. It's important to remember that Blockbuster wasn't lacking in resources. At its peak, it had the money, the infrastructure, and the market share to compete with anyone. Their stores were packed on Friday nights and their brand was synonymous with movie rentals. They had a loyal customer base, families, friends, and movie lovers who made Blockbuster a part of their weekly routine. For many it was more than just a store, it was an experience, a ritual, a place filled with memories. But when the world started to change, Blockbuster hesitated. They saw the warning signs, empty aisles, declining rentals, new competitors, but chose to stick with what was comfortable, rather than embracing the unknown. In the end, they chose comfort over change. Leadership failed to recognize that disruption can come from anywhere, and that no company is immune to the forces of innovation and shifting consumer expectations. This isn't just a story about movies or video rentals, it's a powerful reminder that success today doesn't guarantee success tomorrow. The business landscape is always evolving, and companies must be willing to adapt, experiment, and sometimes even disrupt themselves to survive. Blockbuster's fall is a cautionary tale for any business that thinks it's too big to fail. The lesson is clear: innovate or risk becoming obsolete. So the next time you're scrolling through Netflix, just remember, there was a time when Blockbuster had it all, and they let it slip away. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more business deep dives just like this.